public input on agenda and non-agenda items. I welcome any member of the audience to speak at this time. Just go up to the mic and tell us who you are.
Hello, my name is Dan Pfeiffer, and my daughter Ginny is in Mrs. Dufour's ELL kindergarten class at School 14. And apologies for my froggy voice, I've come down with some kind of cold. As you're likely aware, the federal government has issued a series of alarming executive orders that have many families worried about their safety and the safety of their friends and neighbors. Many are fearful about the potential impacts on student safety in the face of rapidly changing policies. In particular, there are concerns related to immigration status, gender identity, access to special education, and more. Are Troy public schools less safe for many of our students? Will they be in the near future? On February 2nd, my wife, Ellie Irons, sent an email on our behalf to School 14 Principal Cloutier and Vice Principal Rossi, expressing these concerns. In the email, she asked what the plans are for the school district and whether guidance from Attorney General James had been taken into account. So far, we have not received a reply. I am concerned for my daughter's classmates and their families, and I know many other parents are similarly concerned. I urge you to take this matter seriously and to offer clear guidance that addresses the safety and well-being of all the students at Troy schools. Please tell us what your plans are. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and thank you to Ellie for handling childcare at home.
If you have your document, if you want to leave your document with our board clerk, we can't respond back from the tables, but somebody, you leave your contact information, somebody will be able to respond to you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Angela Beeler. My child is a student in Ms. McCarthy's second grade class at School 14 as well, and Sylvan has been in the district since entering kindergarten. I too am very concerned about the federal level communications issued in the form of executive orders and their implications for our local communities, for our schools, for families, children, and so many in our community. There are many possible topics to discuss, and I'm sure everyone's feeling overwhelmed by the near daily changes and assessing what are the impacts and what can we do about these things. But I'd like to focus on the revocation of protected areas that came on January 20th. Schools were a protected zone, under Biden era policies, and they were replaced, with an unreleased directive that gives ICE agents the power to take enforcement actions in any of these spaces using so-called common sense. We know that ICE has been active in the surrounding region, mostly thank you to the Columbia County Sanctuary Movement, and we know that within Troy in the past 2 weeks there were recent ICE arrests. It's not abstract, it's happening here and now, and families and children are not surprisingly afraid. I too wrote to our principal and vice principal on February 10th, and we didn't hear a response, and I think it's not common for them. I feel like it's because they're lacking a clear guidance from the district level. So why the delay in communicating to families and educators? In many other school districts, Saratoga, Schenectady, Albany, Saugerties have all issued statements in January and earlier in February, but we've not heard anything from the Troy City School Department. District. So, what are the plans in our district, and how does this reflect the guidance from the Attorney General and similar communications from the New York State Education Department? I know firsthand, spent time with people who are scared to leave their houses, heard from educators that they're not seeing certain students because they are afraid to come to school. So how is this impacting students' ability to access educational opportunities here in Troy? I urge you, one, to issue a communication with our families and with your employees. Two, that this be followed with training and guidance for employees on how to best protect our children while they're present in school, how to work and protect families and look after what the extended impacts are upon the communities, And 3, that the school community, or all of us, that we're courageous in the face of these threats, each of these things. Immigration is one of those areas that are, that are under attack right now. Access to special education and the rights of queer and trans youth are also threatened. As a queer, gender non-conforming parents, my partner and I, we want to know that our child's school will continue to be a safe and welcoming space for our student, for us, and for others in the LGBTQ community. I look forward to working with educators, families, and the school administration to show up in support of each other, for my child's classmates, for each of the families connected to our schools. I think this sense of safety has already been shattered for many. It's already happening. So how can we work together to substantively address this? And I thank you all. This is also, on behalf of my partner, Elizabeth Crest, who's at home with our child. Thank you.
Would you leave your contact information with the board clerk, please? Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to get up and speak?
You guys ready? Hi, I'm Rita Drysdale. I'm a business owner. Started as a business owner, became a homeowner, became a parent, and now I'm a proud surgeon. So excited to have my kids be a flying horse. And I feel really bad. I forgot what the mascot of middle school is. They're all flying horses. Okay. I haven't been to a game yet in middle school because I'm in 6th grade. So we're excited to be a part of Troy schools. We have amazing schools. Thank you. The teachers are phenomenal. The resources are great. But I'm going to echo what Dan and Angela both said as friends and allies, and we've done so much together. But thank you for all the legwork that you've done and all the people that you've talked to, because we know that people are scared. I'm also on the board of trustees for the Troy Public Library, and this is an issue that we face. What happens when law enforcement or ICE or someone comes in the building, or a First Amendment auditor, or anyone that is demanding information and access to the staff or patrons, and we have to be ready with the answer. So my question to you is, what is that policy? What will you say? Can you give that to teachers, to parents? Just let us know. And I know it's new, so this is brand new. Not everybody knows what to do with this information, but if you can develop something, get a communication out, that would be appreciated, because it's definitely on the minds of many people. And not hearing back from the principal isn't great, but I also know that she has her hands tied right now with probably what she would say, and is looking for leadership. So I'm just here to echo that. They're not alone in that. There are many others who couldn't make it here tonight because of childcare and because everyone apparently has norovirus, flu, group, flu B, flu A, flu Z, I don't know. But we're all sick. So not everybody's here, and hopefully that's for your own benefit. I don't have anything else.
Thank you. Please take contact. Is there anyone else?
On here. It's on here.
I don't even need it. Thank you to the speakers tonight. I appreciate it. Probably the lack of communication with Ms. Cloutier is my fault, so I apologize for that. We did have a couple of meetings with principals and administrators to talk about it, and really, I can't get into too much detail, but really the policy is that if something does happen, they're to call me, and then I call our attorneys. So we all share what you're feeling right now, and I assure you that we are all on the same page. Right now, the federal government and the New York State government are at odds, right? We are still governed by the New York State Education Department, and so, for the time being, again, with guidance from our attorneys, nothing's changed. And I wrote a few things down. I'm just going to kind of go through them if you don't mind. So we say in nearly every message that we put out to staff and families that safety and security of our students and staff is our top priority. We truly mean it. It really is one of the most important jobs we have. As was said tonight, in the last month or so, there have been changes to federal policies that have created worry and confusion about whether all of our students, especially our immigrant students, are safe while they're here at school. Despite those policy changes at the federal level, I'm saying to you now, our policies and procedures, Troy's policies and procedures around protecting students and student information have not changed. New York State's laws and policies that regulate our operations and our responsibilities in protecting our students have not changed. In fact, New York State has some of the strongest protections for students in the entire country. All of our principals and administrators have been reminded about their legal rights and responsibilities of law enforcement officials, including immigration, custom enforcement officers, come to school looking for questions to student on district property. They've been told, again, Donnie, you got it? Again, they will call me. I will talk to our attorneys immediately. We'll make sure the paperwork's there. We'll do whatever we have to do. We've also provided our administrators with the New York State's guidance, the Attorney General's letter that was sent out about safeguarding the rights of our students, especially our immigrant students. In addition, our attorneys that I already referenced give us continuous guidance. It's really changing, and I think it was also referenced, changing almost daily. And so we are getting updates daily so that we're well informed of all of these changes that are happening. Again, I want to reassure our students and families that these federal policies do not change our steadfast commitment to ensuring the well-being of all of our students. As always, district administrators, counseling teams, all of our staff remain committed to providing every student and family safe, secure, and supportive environment. That's not just talk. That's what we believe. That's what we do every single day. We really believe in all things, not just this, that the people that are closest to the work are the ones that are going to help. So those families have been reached out to by teachers, by our ENL curriculum leader, by administrators at the building level, right? To kind of reiterate all of that just said, to come from people that they know and trust. And so we will continue to do that. We'll continue to reach out to those families. We encourage them to continue to reach out to us if they need anything. We have not changed in our commitment to those families and to all of them.
Thank you, John. At this time, I'd like to introduce Principal Carol Hill for her presentation.
Thank you again, Ann. Happy 100th day of school. This is one of our kindergarten classes from today. 101 days of school, she said. And Miss Murphy dressed up as Cruella. I'm going to start, like we always start, with our Troy City School District mission statement. The Troy City School District will provide a strong educational and social foundation to graduate all students college and career ready. Our Carroll Hill mission statement that was created collectively with all of our stakeholders here at Carroll Hill. The mission of Carroll Hill is to foster partnerships between school, families, and the community to provide a variety of student-centered learning experiences that empower all students to be independent learners while working to develop their academic and social-emotional growth. Our goals for Carroll Hill remain the same. We believe in and are working towards our district goals, which is to increase our level 1s to 2s, 2s to 3s, and 3s to 4s by 20%. We continue to foster meaningful relationships to increase student learning and engagement, responding to individual social emotional needs, and we will, by doing these things, see a decrease in our behavioral referrals by at least 5%. We continue to increase and foster school and family partnerships using approaches to establish and maintain reciprocal communication with 100% of our families. Parent Square has been a huge, and I will reiterate that, help to communicating with families regularly and very consistently. The percentage of students who are chronically absent, as defined by NYSID, will decrease school-wide by 2% each year. In our equity goal,
is to increase proficiency on New York State assessments for our Black students, which, as you know, is an area, a subgroup of students that we really need to close the gaps for and make sure that they're achieving at high levels like our other subgroups, and we continue to be committed to that, not only for our Black students, but for all students. Before I go on, I just want to take a moment, I should have done this in the beginning, to thank our faculty and staff for being here. They are totally committed to not only the work that you're going to see in here, but beyond the walls of Carroll Hill. Mr. Foglia, our teachers, our custodians, Miss Kate, who we couldn't run the school without, our tech coaches, our instructional coaches, collectively, they make Carroll Hill what it is, and I could not do this work without them, so thank you for being here. Really, all of the things that you're about to see is because of all of them. So one of our data points that we look at consistently is our New York State data and how students are progressing to reach proficiency. As you can see, for the last 3 years, we continue to trend in the right direction. So this is our ELA proficiency rates, which last year we had 28% proficiency. We know that we want to continue to grow and continue to close gaps, but we are proud that we continue to make progress year after year, and we continue to look at this data and put things in place that will allow us to soar and grow for every student. And some of the things that we are doing this year, you'll see in just a few slides that show our commitment to growing our ELA scores. I'm not good with the clicker, sorry. Our math assessments, again, as you can see, have increased each year, starting at 18% a few years ago, and we're at 33%. I do need to note that some of our co-taught classes last year reached 80% proficiency, another one 56% proficiency. All of our teachers made gains, and that's really important to highlight, but those two in particular really showed great growth. How do we get the work done? Our committees. If we didn't have the committees in place, I don't think collectively we could get the work done. These committee members work tirelessly after school hours. They plan and prepare, they show up for meetings, and they work as a unified team to look at data and determine how to best move forward. We reflect on our strengths, we think about where we need to improve, and we create plans. And those plans then are turnkeyed into professional development for all of our faculty and staff, so everyone's on board and knows where we are headed as a team. And I think the most important word to me is team there, because there's nothing that we don't do without one another. We have committee crossover days throughout the year, so there's 3 throughout the year where we look at how we're all moving towards the same goals and how we can reflect and refine anything that we need to based on the data as a whole unit. Our summer PD days are some of the most important days, and I have to thank the board for supporting those professional development days. They're what really leads into our following school year. We plan and prepare with our teams. We come in over the summertime, and there are sessions provided and workshops provided prior to the school year beginning so that our faculty and staff knows where we're headed, knows our goals, and has the opportunity to gain the capacity to implement what we're saying we're going to do. And we have a commitment of ongoing professional development, meaning it's not one and done. So whatever we do over the summer, we repeat and we provide support all year long. We also have embedded external professionals that come in and help us through Eureka Math Squared, Adam Baker, Moss Flowers for ELA. We work with Rebecca Megan on our social emotional learning curriculum. She comes in regularly, visits classrooms, gives us an outside perspective on how we can redefine some of the things we're doing, but continue to push forward. We also work with Lori DiCarlo from Restorative Practices, who's helped us instrumentally implement community circles, which you're going to learn more about, and we took that to another level with the work of our committees to have a community block put in place for this school year. Our instructional coaches work every day to support our teachers and all staff to make sure that they have what they need to then support every student. So they plan coaching cycles, they work to have grade level meetings, look at student work and student data, and help them with the planning to move forward. This is a glimpse into the life of Carroll Hill.
Here at Carroll Hill, we commit to engaging all learners. Students have the opportunity to learn from one another through the use of student data binders, goal setting, and student-led conferences.
Each morning, every faculty and staff member joins the classroom for community circle. Students are empowered to use their voices to speak out and uplift each other.
We commit to student daily attendance by removing barriers for our students and our families. Our goal is to get students into school each day on time without the extra stress of having to face any barriers. We acknowledge our students and recognize them with things like Troy Bucks and morning meeting awards to keep them incentivized to show up every day on time, ready to learn, doing their best.
Here at Carroll Hill, we work to meet the needs of all students by building on each student's strengths. In each classroom, we use Zen zones, which are places for students to regulate their emotions and be able to calm down if they need a break. We also use zones of regulation to help students identify their feelings. They can be in the blue zone, the green zone, the yellow zone, or the red zone, just to help them identify their feelings and be able to express their emotions.
The teachers at Carroll Hill come to the end of it. They also make learning fun by teaching us how to give feedback on one another's activities.
We tailor our instruction to meet student needs. We use small group instruction every day. We're able to make our small groups using iReady. It helps us form small groups, and we also are able to offer them personalized lessons that way, also through programs such as Reflex and Zern, which are programs that we use every day.
Here at Carroll Hill, we work to engage learners beyond the classroom by hosting events with PTO, events like our math dinner event, our annual CHS turkey trot, and our summer community event, and so much more.
Here at Carroll Hill, we foster leadership.
We are provided many opportunities beyond the school day to become leaders in our community, such as Girls K Kids, classroom buddies, as well as many other opportunities.
We have after-school programs like K-Kids, which is a service leadership program that does food drives, gives back to the Albany Medical Center Intensive Care Unit, visits the Ronald McDonald House and collects supplies that are needed in the house at Ronald McDonald House. In Talent, it's take a look at teaching. We start to have children that are interested in teaching. We start to plant that seed of what teaching is. We are constantly giving back to the community because together the school and community develops well-rounded, contributing members of society.
We thought it was important to hear from the teachers and the students because it gives you an idea of what goes on a regular basis, and you don't always get to see that. So thank you to everybody that participated in that. At this time, I'd like to welcome Kara and Erica, our instructional coaches.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kara Zimmerman. I'm one of the instructional coaches here at Carroll Hill.
Everyone, my name is Erica Jerwitz, and this is my first year here at Carroll Hill, but my 10th year for Troy City School District.
So, we're going to speak to a little bit of some of the practices that we have put in place throughout the school year. So, Sabina shared with us some incredible data, and we use that data to create our 3 main commitments that Carroll Hill has embedded throughout this year. As spoken to earlier, we are up here talking, but the people out there are doing the work. So we really can't thank them enough for everything they do every single day. So our first commitment this year was committing to creating a responsive environment that promotes academic independence and self-regulation for all students. The most exciting thing we have done this year is expand some of our restorative practices, and we created a school-wide community block. What that entails is every day from 7:30 to 8:25, the entire building participates in a community circle. There was a video of a community circle occurring in one of our second grade classrooms in the video. This is an opportunity for students to share their ideas. They get an opportunity to speak. Every voice is heard, and building on those practices this year, we have invited every staff member in the building to join a community circle every single day. So it's not just classroom teachers and their students. I myself, as an instructional coach, go to a community circle every single day. All of our special area teachers join community circles. Our administration joins community circles. And it has really allowed us to build the relationships across the building. And I think you'll notice that in our behavioral data, which was coming up shortly. I have to stand maybe over here. The other thing that we have put in place this year are specific relationship building strategies. These are research-based strategies that we work closely with Rebecca Macon in terms of implementing throughout the school year. The first is called Carroll Hill Cool Kid. This is a research-based strategy where basically the purpose is for students to practice giving and receiving compliments. There's a lot of research that shows how this helps build community and it helps build identity within the classroom. The other strategy that we've implemented this year is also research-based. It's called 2x10. This strategy basically is where a teacher chooses one student at a time. They spend 2 minutes for 10 days talking, 10 consecutive school days, talking to that student about anything but school. So this could happen during breakfast, it could happen during a transition, it could happen during the lunchroom, pop in for the last 2 minutes or the first 2 minutes upon picking them up or dropping them off. And again, this is really just allowing teachers to further the relationships with students and get to know them as humans and not just as students. We have continued with our social emotional learning curriculum this year. A lot of the things up there are things that we've implemented in previous years. Also, we have a lot of embedded PD throughout the school year. Being an instructional coach, this is obviously a huge part of my everyday role. One thing that we have in place is we have weekly grade level meetings. It alternates depending on what sort of data we're looking at and what decisions we're making, but we're always using data to help inform our instruction. We look at student groupings to help create tier 2 and tier 3 groupings, and Erica will speak more to that in a moment. We also use this time to unpack and plan our curriculum so that teachers feel like they are prepared for upcoming lessons. The other thing that we instill as coaches is being sure that we're supporting our teachers' transfer of PD that we have within Mossflower and Eureka Math Square, our 2 core academic curriculums. We are very lucky that we have Mossflower and Eureka Math Square come into the district, but we know if it was just one PD that was given, we need continuous support with that. So the coaches at Carroll Hill have really taken this on. We've noticed that this year specifically, it's led to a much higher level of transfer for our teachers in terms of rolling out some of those initiatives brought to us by our curriculum, and also it's helped build teacher capacity. Within our second commitment, which is we commit to strengthening and maintaining partnerships within our school and community, our attendance liaison and our Stronger Connections mentoring program really help strengthen our relationships with families. Our Stronger Connections mentoring program, we have over 100 students participating within that program, and staff within the building has been paired up with students to be a mentor. We provide mentoring during lunches outside of our typical day, and these students were very purposefully chosen by taking a look at our equity goal, our attendance data, and our behavioral data. Again, I think you'll see the benefits of this program in a moment when we look at our behavioral data for the school year. But the mentors work directly with the families to establish a partnership, but then also create a common goal that's tracked throughout the school year. This year, we also were very proud to have student-led conferences established throughout the building for the whole year for all grade levels. We started this work last year as a pilot program, and this year all grade levels are participating. And basically, this has taken the place of the typical parent-teacher conference. Students are leading the conference. They're collecting their data throughout the school year. They're building data binders that they are speaking to. And they're leading the conversation with their families, and they are sharing their own progress. In December, we had over 60% of our families participate in student-led conferences, which is, I believe, the highest percentage we have ever seen here at Carroll Hill for our conferences. I don't want to call them parent-teacher conferences anymore because they're not. They're student-led. So we are so excited to see that. And we've also seen the transfer over to the classroom. So students, in order to prepare for the student-led conferences, as you saw in the video, there was a child speaking to their data binder to Miss Neese, and we have to build that practice within the classroom so then that the student is then comfortable of going and transferring it over to their families. So we've seen a huge success with that. This year we have also implemented under our second commitment lunch and learn events. Each trimester we invite families to come in and meet with the instructional coaches, and we share different ways for them to support their learners. In November, our topic was technology and how to access all the technology we have here at Troy at home through Clever. We worked directly with the tech coaches to help support us with that. And then in March, we are going to be sharing reading strategies and questioning techniques with our families. So we're excited, and you guys are all welcome to join if you'd like to come to a lunch and learn. Another thing we have put in place are curriculum celebrations. We've expanded these practices this year from years previous. All grades have to hold at least one curriculum celebration each trimester. And this year we've had a variety of different curriculum celebrations, such as writing showcases, math facts celebrations, but then we also have had debates at a 5th grade level. We have science experiments and science fairs. Kindergarten had a Thanksgiving feast and invited their families in around Thanksgiving time. So our curriculum celebrations have been extended. And then finally, under our second commitment, we have our community partnerships. These have continued from previous years. We have a mentoring program that comes in. We have a PTO that's been very involved this year. As you saw, our Masked Singer event was a real hit. And then finally, we always have our family engagement events as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Erica, and she's going to speak to Commitment 3.
Thank you. So I'm going to be speaking to Commitment 3. We commit to increasing growth and achievement on district and building assessments for our Black students. I've had the privilege of joining the Carroll Hill family this year during a very exciting time. We began morphology instruction, and that is one of the key pillars of literacy that we had looked through our data and noticed that there was a significant deficit for all students in vocabulary instruction specifically. So alongside of Sabina and the coaches, we drafted a proposal to begin using a morphology supplemental resource. Looking at data from iReady, from Fountas and Pinnell reading assessment, from on-demand writing, even from our math program, from our Eureka Math modules, we really noticed that need for vocabulary instruction specifically. So we, as coaches, attended the PD, and then we were able to turnkey the PD for morphology instruction to teachers, and then we now get to work alongside of teachers to implement this program. So we are very, very excited to see the data that will hopefully come from this, the increase in student achievement. Our next thing I'm going to speak to is the targeted small group instruction. That is something that in Troy we have been given a ton of support with over the years. So we are going to be building on that even further and have been this year. We are using the DFS process where we look at data with teachers at least 2-3 times a month, if not more, and of course in our day-to-day practice. And when we also can now utilize our new program, iReady, where it'll actually help us help the teachers as well work together to make tiered groups for tier 2 and tier 3 that are super targeted. It gives us explicit, systematic instruction as well that we can really help to implement in our day-to-day practices. And then for our implicit bias training, by the end of the school year, 100% of our staff at Carroll Hill will be trained. Our very own Tinica Wilcox, she is a teacher at Carroll Hill. She is a NICET trainer for this. And so 100% of our faculty and staff, this is a huge important thing. that we really need to make sure that we address. So they will be trained by the end of the school year. So as you can see, all three of these commitments, they really, really work hand in hand together to drive our current and future work for Carroll Hill, for the students and the families that we serve here.
Thank you, Karen and Eric, for a great job. And as you can see, all these things that they spoke to has led to our current data for this year. Doesn't want to click now. Maybe not. Maybe. Come on. Thank you. I think it's stuck. Maybe it doesn't want me to show you the data. But our behavior data is down significantly. As you can see, from 21-22 down to 24-25, significant decrease. And honestly, we attribute all of this to the things that we've implemented over the last few years and the hard work and commitment of every faculty and staff member. I cannot say that enough. They have been working tirelessly to make sure that community is a priority and that we're meeting the needs of all students every single day. So thank you once again to them. And our chronic absenteeism continues to go down. We certainly want it to go down even further, but through the help of our SST, our faculty, staff, and our attendance liaison, who communicates regularly with our families, we continue to drive that down, and I'm hoping by the end of the year it's down even further than it is currently. So here at Carroll Hill, you can see it. We take Mr. Carmelo's messages very seriously. We are all in this together. And the last picture really shows our dedication and commitment to each other. That's Mr. Foglia, along with Mr. Jalen Wilcox, who just last week had surgery together on their knees.
Joe, do you want to talk about that?
I wouldn't ask my staff to do anything I wouldn't do. Same doctor, same day, same man. I'm like, oh.
I was on a beach in Aruba getting a text from Tika with that photo that we just took all into a whole new level. Anyway, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak today, and for the rest of us, on behalf of Carroll Hill, we thank you again. Is there any questions?
You just didn't tell us about your newspaper.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I know that was so. That's the first thing you have to say. Carroll Hill Chronicles. You want to see enough those that read it? I do.
That is new this year. We're ready to have it. It comes out monthly, and to look at the colors, so we get to see like great things happening and hear from the students. The students are leading all the articles in that. So thank you to them. Thank you. They do the lunches too. Very honest.
Some parts of the mac and cheese were hard.
I hate to interrupt the news reading, but time for our financials.
Good evening. December financials were forwarded to the board for review this week. All accounts are reconciled. The general fund revenues and expenses are on par with last year. We anticipate to receive about $8 billion in general aid in March. Believe it or not, April's coming faster than we think. During that month, we end up freezing the entry of new POs and expenditures to help us get ready for the fiscal year end process. And anything else to report this time? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, we present budget discussion draft one. Mr. Carmen.
Thank you. Who's going to put it up on there? Thank you very much. Was that thing working or not? Thank you very much. Great job. Excellent. Test it right now. Sweet. Thank you. Appreciate the time tonight. We had a draft report last month, but now we'll get into more of the actual money and where we're going from here. So I always start with our mission statement. The Tri-City School District will provide a strong educational and social foundation to graduate all students college and career ready. That is the forefront of all the decisions we make, but certainly at the forefront of budget decisions, where you're making decisions for your operations the following year and trying to make that a reality for all of our students. The first couple slides are repeats from the report, and I'm not going to go through them all again, but I want them in here just to remind people. So we are super proud. Great job, Ms. Bernardo, by the way. Yeah, definitely. Super proud of all that's happening in the district. There are some highlights. You see Carroll Hill on there. They were the only school this year to increase in both ELA and math, and with significant increases, as you saw from the presentation. And it looks like they're on the trend to continue that work, which is great. School 2, School 2 removed from receivership, and again, we went through all those last time, but again, I wanted to show them, this is the reason we're doing all this. This is the reason we put a budget together. It's the reason why we're all here. Budget development process, so we want to sustain the progress, we want to build on those successes, we want to ensure we're meeting the needs of all of our students, which Sabina just said as well. We want to maintain our environment of continuous improvement. We're proud of the last 10, 12 years and always trying to get better at everything we're doing. And how do we do all that in the most fiscally responsible way? And you'll see tonight, how do we do that with the most difficult budget season we've had in probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years, maybe more. So we'll get through it, but it's we got to do all that, and we got to do it. And you heard Assemblymember McDonald tonight. Actually, I was encouraged by some of the things he's taken our letters, and that's what he's great at. And we'll get to that later on, but he'll go out and share those things. So hopefully we get some traction for the things we're looking for. Whenever you're doing a budget, you have to combine and balance those two lenses. One is that you're educationally sound, and that mission statement I just put up there can be a reality for our students. What staffing and programs and supports do our students need to be successful, to reach their full potential? And how do we support all the students in their academic achievement and their social achievement and all the other things that we want them to do, right? If that's all we cared about, then we could just raise taxes as far as we wanted and just move forward. But you also have to balance that with being fiscally responsible, right? We have to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money, we have to be mindful of our taxpayers, continue to search for other funding sources, which we're very, very good at. Ms. DiNardo was talking about that Stronger Connections grant and the impact it's having. That's an extra grant that we found. It's our first real year doing it. Found it a year and a half ago. Julie Curry does a great job. Her and Dr. Watson, wrote that or helped write that to get us that funding. But we're always looking for other sources to help us get more and more things or keep the things that we have. We've been under the tax cap for the last 12 years. I got a slide specifically for that. I don't think there's anyone that has done it as good as we have over that time, and you'll see in a minute. State and federal money, so we get most of our money from the state, 70% about from state funding, which is why it's so crucial that that 2% that we just talked about is increased. And we're always doing long-term financial planning, always looking at, right now we're looking at next year, but at the same time, Adam and I are discussing things that are going to happen 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. There's the tax cap history. So if you look at 2016-17, which was the first year in a while that we went 0% increase, from that year down, 2, 4, 6, 8, those 9 years, we have a combined 5% increase, total 5% increase over 9 years to our taxpayers. The last 4 years, our tax levy, the tax levy is the amount we get from the taxpayers has not been increased, has not changed over the last 4 years. Right? And so we're really, really proud of that. We've offered a lot of stuff, and the federal money did help the last couple of years doing that. But again, balancing those two things, we've got some successes, or even going back to that, we've got some successes that we're really, really, really proud of, and some things that we've added, and some great stuff that we've done, and students have been achieving at all levels, and we've done it by not increasing taxes to our taxpayers over the last 4 years. Really, really proud of that, and really great stuff. Not sure that can continue. We talked about that last year a little bit as a board and district office. We did do it last year, but you'll see in the bottom of the slide, this might be the year that we can't keep doing. The 2% tax cap, it's called the 2% tax cap. It's not always 2%. This year, the consumer price index is 2.95, so if it's over 2, it defaults down to 2, and then the calculation starts. So once it's down to 2, then there are, I think, Adam told me today, there's 11 other factors that go into it, so there's a whole formula. So ours this year is 2.57. So what that means is that's the highest tax levy increase we can put out to voters without needing a supermajority. Right? That's what the tax cap does. So if you want to go over that cap, and some districts are, if we wanted to say we want a 4% increase, which I'm just using as an example, but if we wanted to go out as a 4% increase, we'd have to get a supermajority, which means 60% of the voters would have to say yes to that. If you're under the tax cap, then you only need a regular majority, 50%, or 50 plus 1. 2.57 generates about $974,000, a little bit over that. So, going back to that page, we usually want to stay, at least since 16, 17, under that 2 range. So that'll be one of the decisions we'll have to make as we get further along, is what we want to do. With districts like ours, there's not a ton, I mean, 974 is not small, but there's not a ton of money from our taxpayers that can be earned. That's why we have so much reliance on that state aid. So the considerations, again, very similar to a slide that was in the last thing, but it's worth talking about again. We've discussed the need over the last several years to be conservative and strategic with our choices, and we've done that. Federal funding was ending. The uncertainty around foundation aid, which Assemblymember McDonald talked about a little bit, there's still a ton of uncertainty, right? So there's a couple of things that were added, and we'll talk about those in a moment. But really, there's supposed to be a full new formula coming in the next year or two. So there's still a ton of uncertainty for the future, and so we got to be really, really careful about what we're doing. In this current year's budget, we were able to still keep 30 positions that were created from the federal funding. So remember, the federal funding now is 4 years ago. We had a lot of money, $22 million at that time to add a whole bunch of stuff. And Ms. DiNardo talked about the co-teachers. They've been fantastic for us, right? Co-teachers are 2 certified teachers in one classroom working together so that students get more attention, more individualized attention. It's really been great. It's been a game changer for a lot of our students to have that kind of work from 2 teachers in one room. We've added the attendance improvement specialists that Ms. DiNardo talked about. Those have been key in helping our students who have struggled to get to school and those families ease those barriers, which Mr. Harris was talking about on that video. We were able last year to keep 30 of those positions. It also included social workers, it included new E&L teachers, it included a couple new instructional coaches. We did a lot of great things. They've all been super impactful, which is why we wanted to keep them, right? They all were always meant to be temporary. When we put them in place, remember at that time we were coming out of COVID, and we were talking about the achievement gap that wasn't just going to happen in Troy, but across New York State and across the country. And so those positions were always meant to be temporary, always meant to help our students and staff to get through that coming back to normal kind of stuff. We got a bonus year, in my opinion, last year by able to do that. The plan last year, and I put attrition plan there, at the end of last year's budget process, we talked about as positions start to, as people leave, as they retire, as they leave for other things, they move up in the organization, we don't always backfill every position anymore, right? And we've done that this year. There's been a half dozen or so. We certainly have some that we have to fill, right? You know, if a principal leaves, we have to have a principal. If a science teacher leaves at the high school, we probably have to have a science teacher. But there are positions that are built in. If a co-teacher leaves, now remember 2 certified teachers in one classroom, if one of them leaves for some reason, we haven't always filled those backfills, right? So, and we'll continue to do that as we go along. But those 30 positions will also be part of the conversations that we'll have to have, and which one of those stay and which ones might not stay. And we've received and we're reviewing requests from the priorities from administration. One of the best things we do here is include everybody in these conversations. So we meet with every single principal, every single director, and ask what they need in their departments and their buildings to help students be more successful. Sometimes the conversations are, over the last few years, when we have the federal money especially, you know, what things do you think we could add? Sometimes those conversations are, what would have the least negative impact if we didn't have them anymore, right? But they're all part of those conversations, and so we've obviously started those at this point. There's our numbers. Our state aid is $90.5 million. The key to that is the foundation aid, right? It's only $1.2 million, not even enough to really not even half of what we need just to maintain the stuff we got. It's 2% increase. There's many, many other districts that got a lot more than 2. There are a lot that only did get 2. But what John McDonald was talking about today, that Adam and I sent him a letter about, there are, say 12, is it 12? I thought there was 15.
I think it's 15.
Yeah. I think there are 15 districts, which is still not a lot. He said there was 856 districts statewide, right? There's 15 that count as urban, suburban, high needs, right, like us, that got the 2%. So when you can narrow it down to a small group that's not going to have a huge impact statewide, maybe we'll get somewhere. It sounded like he was at least listening. And so what we wrote in our letter that he's talking about, and I'll send that letter to the board and to the Citizens Advisory Committee tomorrow. What he's talking about is those 15 districts, high needs urban suburbans, right? Not the wealthy districts, not the districts that could easily tax their way out of these problems, but districts like ours don't have 2% be the minimum, have 4% be the minimum. Like, that was our suggestion. He sounds like he's at least on board with it. We'll see if he can get some traction with his colleagues. But that foundation is certainly not enough. We also have a one-time city capital outlay, and I actually got a whole slide on that, but a quick reminder, I think we might have been the only district to ever use it.
Not the only, the second, but to that level, yes.
Yeah. So remember 2 years ago, well, I'll wait till I get to the slide. And expense-driven aids, you know, those are, the foundation aid is the important one. That's the operational aid. The expense-driven aids are money you spend on transportation, on capital projects, on BOCES, and you get money back on a percentage of the money you spend. But that's not really aid you can use for operations, right? And so they did increase, and our city capital outlay is coming in, but we'll talk about what we want to do with that in a moment. Our tax levy is $37.9 million. That's been the same tax levy again for 4 years. There's our tax cap that I had on the other page. And right now, draft 1 that you'll see in a moment is assuming 0, but I already did the caveat that we have a gap, we have a significant gap we want to close, so that's probably can't be 0 this year. Pilots and other tax items, there's just some miscellaneous that follow that. Those are our revenues. So there's the small city capital outlay. So again, May 2023, there were some parameters that we had to meet. You had to be at your debt limit, you had to be a small city district, there was a couple of other things, and we met it. And I think most people in here know, but I'll say it anyway, when we do all our capital projects, and we're in the middle of a huge one right now, million. You get aid on those. For us, it's about between 86 and 90%, depending on, you know, a lot of different details. But I mean, high 80s to almost 90% aid back. So when you spend $100, you actually get $90 back. But in a typical capital project, you get that over 15 years, right? You still get it back, but you get it over 15 years. It comes in, you know, over that time. For the small city outlay, the rule was you get it back right away, a year after you spend it. It was too good to pass up. I remember when we did that. And so we got a $5 million outlay approved. We haven't spent all 5. We're working on it. We're about $4 million in right now. There are some deadlines. And those deadlines are coming up, so we're hoping to get a few more things. Those were the elevators we're trying to do. Those were the turf fields that we were trying to do. Some boiler stuff, some chiller stuff, right? Those kinds of things. But the incredible thing was, you pay out the money, like I think so far we've paid out $4 million. We're gonna get $3.6 million back next year. So it's almost like it was a no-brainer to do it. Now, we don't qualify anymore because we also lobbied and won to get the debt limit on small cities increased, and that was a whole nother story. But every other district could go 10%. We were only 5%, and they fixed that. But now we're not at that, and I think they're going to take those away anyway.
That's going away.
That's going away anyway. Because we used it, and they're like, wait a minute, is this real? So anyway, we're getting that aid back the next school year, like the 25-26 school year. So when you're getting one-shot aid like that, you have to be careful. It's a non-recurring revenue. You really can't use it for recurring expenditures, right? So it'd be great if we could use that to fill the budget gap. But you do that, you get a hole twice as big the following year, because that's not $3.6 million that will keep coming. That comes one time. So what we'd like to do with it is, what we've done before is a transfer to capital. We've done it in previous years a couple of different times. Remember, we've talked about these capital projects. We're in phase 5 now, of the 5 and last phase of the 50, what was the original number? 56? Of the $56 million project over the last 6 years. Work in almost every building. You know, significant work at 18, significant work at 16, walls at 14. I'll forget all the stuff. But now we're on to the tech wing at the high school. And when you're in the last phase, and we talked about the cost increases all along, so there's not as much money left as we thought. So this 3.6 comes at right the right time. We put it right into transfer and capital, and we can supplement that site work that's going to be at the high school, the tech wing stuff. The bids are opening tomorrow, I think they'll be right now. So we'll see what that number is. But that number, and that number could go up if we're able to beat the deadline on a few more things. We're still waiting on the elevators. That's a problem. It's not that we're not trying to spend them. We're still waiting on some of the elevator stuff. We're still waiting on some of the other things. So if we can get that number 4 up to 5, I don't know if we get all the way to 5, but we'll get about 90% of that back next year, which again, if we put it in transfer to capital, it's not a budget. It's budget neutral. It doesn't affect our budget negatively at all. And actually, when we spend it, the 3.6 now on capital, we'll get 8 on that 3.6. So we end up getting a double bonus from it. We won't get that back the next year anymore because it's not a small city outlet. But we will get 90% of that 3.6 back-ish over that 15-year cycle. So it really is something that is a no-brainer. But that's what we're recommending, using the 3.6 full-time aid. There's the bad news. There's our draft 1, and it's only bad news today. We have things that we're going to talk about. We'll talk about with this group, not in Zoom, because we'll be at the building at that time. But in our next meeting, we'll go through some of the ideas we have and some of the next steps that we're talking about. But right now, there's our current budget up top, $133,067,785. The revenues from this page total $139,596,851. Our expenditures are, again, and this draft 1 assumes all the things, those 30 positions that I referenced, from the federal money that we're able to get a bonus year out of, where'd it go? There's. Those are still in there in draft 1. So all of that is 143,716,818. Now remember, it looks like it's a $10 million increase. It's not, because the 3.6 is also in there. It's on both of them. So that 3.6 is budget neutral, that last line there, because it increased the revenues, it increased the expenditures by the same amount. So again, it doesn't affect, the tax levy doesn't affect anything other than it has to be put in there because it's going to be a transfer to capital. The deficit right now is 4.1 million. Okay? That's a lot. We haven't had a deficit like that in the draft 1, again, in a long time. So we'll have work to do. But we already have some plans to look at it. There's some things that, none of the things we're doing aren't impactful, right? And Sabina talked about a lot of them tonight. But when you're looking at a gap like that, you have to really make some priorities. Some of the things maybe, and they're great for kids, and they're great for our district, but some of them might be a little bit luxuries. We have class sizes that are incredible in this district and in this building. I mean, great stuff, and the board's been supportive of it, and we're thankful for that, and we talk about it a lot. But we have class sizes in the 14, 15 range, and some even lower than that. Right? That's great for kids. It's great for kids. But when you have a $4 million gap, you can't do that. Right? So those kinds of things. Things that we wouldn't change. If our number came out for foundation aid and it wasn't 2%, it wasn't 1.2 million, it was 5 million, which some districts got, then we would just be, probably rolling our stuff over and keep going, because the stuff we're doing is great for kids and families and staff. But if it's going to stay like that, then we'll have some decisions to make. We don't have to make them yet, because we got some work to do. So here are the next steps then. What is that work? We're going to continue to review, analyze, and discuss the current budget, right? Those federal fund positions, which ones, right? Where's the least negative impact? How much reserves do we want to use? Every year we can have that conversation towards the end of the draft, the budget process, right? We have reserves. We've got to be careful about using too many. Same with the 3.6 million in capital outlay aid. That's one-time revenue. You've got to be careful not using too much reserves, because you end up with a double hole the following year, because that's not recurring revenues. It can't be. You'll use up all your money. It's like if you have a savings account and you're using a savings account to pay your car payment each month, eventually you have no money left, right? You can't use one-time money to pay recurring expenses. But doesn't mean you can't stop a gap temporarily and use some reserves. So we'll be using some reserves for sure. And then what tax levy do we want to decide? We've been 0 for 4 years, but if we're 2%, that's 700 plus thousand. That helps cut into that $4 million. Our advocacy, you heard a little of it tonight with Ms. McDonald. We'll continue that. We have some Joelle left, but she's going to help us get that message out. She actually works in the Senate, and so we're going to get that message out and hopefully get some traction and turn that deficit. I mean, that would be the best part, if we get some money from the state to knock some of that stuff out right away. We'll continue to monitor the state process. He talked about, Mr. McDonald talked about the Assembly bill coming out March 13th. The Senate One-House bill will be very close to that. So probably not by March 12th, but soon after that, we'll know where the two houses stand, and then the governor and those two houses try to work something out. But it's really telling once we see the one-house bills, because we at least know, where the gap is. And then our vote is May 20th. We'll be ready to roll at that point. Probably, you see I wrote there on draft 2, it says draft 2 is scheduled to be presented. My guess right now, because those one-house bills will come after that, that'll end up not being draft 2, but just a budget discussion. We'll talk about class sizes, we'll talk about those federal positions, we'll talk about the reserves, we'll talk about tax levy. Like we'll have a workshop on budget for sure, but it might not be draft 2 until we get a little more information from the state. Question? Did I go too long?
No.
You fell asleep?
No, I have to read it again. No, I have
John was up there, what was he saying about March 13th? Not you, John.
The one House bill comes out, his assembly bill will come out, not his budget. Assembly budget. So the governor puts her executive budget out in January, that's the one we're working with right now. And then both the Assembly and the State Senate put out their one House budgets in mid-March. His numbers will come out March 13th. Senate will be right around that time. And then they get and try to figure out which ones they're gonna, then there's some negotiations between those three groups. But it's really informative when we see those, because then we at least know.
Well, they should have some idea.
Yeah, we know where the middle might be. It was interesting that he talked about the retiree thing all that.
Yeah.
That's usually last minute.
So we asked them to move to the 11th, so we can talk about that. I see no.
Well, we'll have enough to talk about the 12th, and then we'll have the 20th, I don't know when the next 26th, where we'll do that, and then we'll have that. Anything else?
Does anybody have any voter questions? I don't, I really don't.
I think I should say, because I said it yesterday to the admin team, you know, I talked about those positions and things like that. I don't know if we can guarantee it, we can't, but we're committed to finding cuts in positions the attrition way like we talked about, rather than laying off people. We really are not interested in that at all, and we're going to do everything we can to not do that. So if people are hearing this, either in this room or on the camera, and heard me say, like, we're going to be looking at those positions and looking at cuts, we're going to try really, really, really hard not to be laying people off, but making cuts as people leave for other. Great, thank you.
Thank you, Okay, motion on the floor for approval of minutes of January 5th, 2025.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Superintendent recommendation, human resources staff matters, unclassified and classified. Under unclassified, motion on the floor for consent agenda items 1 through 10.
Second.
Under discussion, I'd like to welcome a familiar face in our audience back to our school district. Thank you, Brian, for helping us out. Everybody, Brian, thanks for all those in favor? Opposed? Under classified, motion on the floor for consent agenda items 1 through 8.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Under superintendent recommendation programs, motion on the floor for consent agenda items 1 through 6.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Under superintendent recommendations, business finance, motion on the floor for consent agenda items 1 and 2.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? I really want to thank our families that donate things like a digital keyboard for $2,500. I mean, that's great. You know, just, it's really nice to see good people like that. Under board resolutions, employee contracts, motion on the floor for consent agenda items 1 and 2.
Second.
Discussion.
Under discussion.
I just want to say thank you all for being here and for everything you do for the school district. Please keep it up.
We don't make them yet, we have to vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Now, my meeting was much shorter than everything else that went on tonight, so. Before we do district announcement and everything, Sabina, could I have your staff that's in the audience stand up, introduce themselves to us, tell them and what you, I don't want a speech, I just tell us who you are.
School spirit day tomorrow, you all here.
Cheer. So if you just stand up and tell us what you do for the district, and just sit back down, just tell us who you are.
Just your
We'll
position.
start.
I'm
Sarah French, I'm a fifth grade teacher.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't know, it's okay. I'm Caitlin McNall, I'm a special ed TA and fourth and fifth grade teacher.
I'm Beth Parker, I'm a social worker here. I'm Jana Sixtodoni, I'm a speech therapist here. I'm Megan McGinnis, I'm also a speech therapist here. I'm Kristen Young, I am a TA in the library. I'm Michelle Dorothy, I'm a fifth grade principal.
Kim O'Neill, special ed TA.
Tony Moriello, grade 1.
Leah Casava, second grade teacher. Hannah Malicki, I'm a fifth grade TA. I'm Allison Biscanio, fourth grade. Lizzie Neese, third grade teacher.
Eliza Stewart, fifth grade.
Desiree Elfner, third grade. Catherine Sibberly, kindergarten teacher. Tracy Dowler, third grade. Taylor Wiley, I'm teaching fourth grade this year. All put together, say my name.
Can I ask now, how many of you are Troy High grads? Raise your hand. Hey, come on! Thank you, everyone. Future board meetings. All meetings will take place at 6 p.m. March 12th is our budget discussion at TMS, draft 2. March 26th at TMS, principal presentation. Under good news. I want to get on the audience tonight. I believe everybody's home. You did a good job. TMS is hosting a Black History Month assembly for students on Friday. The program starts with a short video put together by our My Brother's Keepers and My Sister's Keeper programs. Concludes with a Q&A session with faculty members. School 2 hosted their annual Black History panel discussion yesterday, bringing Black community leaders to share their experiences and answer questions from students. Our student athletes have been very busy. Varsity girls basketball, this is so good news, continues their sectional run after getting a first round win against Amsterdam at home on Monday. Friday night, the girls go on the road to face Columbia. Tip-off is scheduled for 7:30. Where is that? Columbia? Okay. The varsity boys entered the Section 2 tournament as the number 3 seed, and they'll host number 11, Bird Hills, Boston Lake on Saturday at Hudson Valley beginning at 1 p.m. The CBA Troy Columbia varsity swim team finished in second place at sectional championships earlier this month, and Troy's Rocco Jabor qualified for the state championships. Yeah. CBA Troy Columbia enters the meet ranked 20th in the state. Congratulations and good luck to all. 3 of our winter sports teams were named Scholar Athlete teams by the New York State Public High School Athletic Association. The girls basketball, boys swimming, and the bowling teams all received their designation honoring teams and individuals that excel in the classroom. To be named a Scholar Athlete team, the average GPA of the top 75% of the roster must be greater than or equal to 90. So that's quite an accomplishment. Does anyone Does anyone have any good news they want to share or anything, or should we just stop now? This has been quite a long meeting.
They're never coming to my next presentation.
To be fair, yeah, right, we need to keep him. No. If no one else has anything else, anybody from the board?
Was modified and undefeated.
She knows anybody on the board monitor. Thank you to you. You by yourself over there? Did everybody left? Thank you.
motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.